Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is Nathaniel Kalogiannidis, who is a professional Muay Thai athlete and will be competing on Olympus Fighting Championships against Alex Welby. Nathaniel, thank you so much for joining us, my brother.
Thank you for having me, mate. Thank you for the platform. Buzzing to be here. You've had some legendary names on here. So.
Thank you. Hey, do you know who the first person I had on was? None other than Khabib's coach, Javier Mendes, brother. How mad is that?
Seen them all. I'm a fan of the sport, bro. So
brother, what can I say? It's hard to be humble when you're as good as I am, brother. You know what I mean?
True say.
So, Nathaniel, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk about your fight that you're going to have against Alex Welby. But first of all, can you share with us your martial arts journey from a young age? What disciplines you got into that's ended up where you are now?
Absolutely, mate. So I got started with Taekwondo. That was my dad's sport. He was into it when he was young. So pretty much as soon as I could get going, I think I was only about 4 or 5, throw me straight in. So that was traditional. So ITF, started with that. I was in Greece till I was 9. So I trained with that, come over here, got straight back into Taekwondo. So sort of through my teens, I'm experimenting with different martial arts, sort of trying to figure out my way and find my sport. So say like 13, 14, 15, wouldn't really call it training, just being a bit of a wrecky teenager, in and out of training, figuring out what I wanted to do. So tried a bit of Muay Thai, done a bit of MMA. And then, when I was about 15, 16, started taking training seriously, really. Training with Pierre over there. And then when I was 18, I flew back over to Greece for 2 years. I trained at Apsimon Gym in Thessaloniki. Achilles Laudidis and Babis Adovidis over in Thessaloniki there. So did 2 years with them, did some amateurs and semi-pros over there, mostly K1 and boxing with that. And then I've come back over and been back with Pierre ever since. So that was 2018, so I've been 20.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about MMA, but is most of your training and competitions in striking rather than MMA?
All of them, mate. I haven't had a single MMA fight.
Now, with the Taekwondo, brother, is it fair to say Taekwondo gives you flexibility, it gives you hand-eye coordination, and it gives you that bounce, right?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, you bang on. I think it's a really good sport, and sort of for the discipline and stuff for younger kids to be getting started with. I mean, obviously, if you're going to end up doing Muay Thai anyway, that's the best place to be in it. But I'm glad I did it because it just gives you a little bit of diversity. I mean, a couple of things that I don't think I'd have been able to do if I hadn't have done that and come up through that. So it's done a lot for me. And
what was your pops like when you said to him, you want to focus more on the Muay Thai and move away slowly and transition away from Taekwondo?
He's one of them, mate. My dad just loves a scrap. He's just like me. So we're buzzing that. I think initially when you tell your parents that, like, I knew this is what I wanted to do when I was dead young. So you're like 13, 14, you're telling them that's what you're going to do. I'm like, oh, I've seen it on TV. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And they're like, what? No way. But then sort of they see how passionate you are for it and how much you want to chase it. My parents have always been mega, mega supportive of everything that I've ever wanted to do. So they were buzzing for me, always trying to do as much as possible and push me in the right direction to do this. So,
and forgive my ignorance, brother, but with Taekwondo, is that above waist or is it below waist as well?
You're right, yeah, above waist, no low kicks.
So for your pops, he might have seen that the Muay Thai side is more of kind of an aggressive competition rather than a Taekwondo, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe so. With the sort of, obviously with my first competitions when I was young, I'd done the points fighting side of it. So that's, yeah, obviously, as you say, waist up, above, and you score a point, don't you? And then they stop the match and then they'll restart you. I also did a little bit of light continuous, so that's kind of a little bit different. But it wasn't a thing for him. He's not like a protective type of guy. He's just happy that I'm in with martial arts. And don't get it twisted, he is a fan of the sport as well. So he's knee deep in this, all the UFCs. We're always talking about all of this. So.
Oh, that's awesome, brother, man. That's good to hear that he's willing to support you as you go through this. Now, your fight against Alex Welby, how did that come about?
Pierre comes to me with all fights. He finds fights. sorts them all out for me. So I don't know. He just comes up to me one day and he's like, "Oh, got you an A-class fight." Da, da, da. I was like, buzzing. I was well happy, and he just told me a little bit. Da, 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 tells me a little bit, but I've never said no to a fight. I'll never say no to a fight. Trust Pierre with my heart. So I know he wouldn't throw me into anything above my capabilities. So just get training as per usual.
And for those that don't know Pierre Mahon, can you tell us what gym he's part of and how long you've been training with him?
Carloy to the world. I've been with Pierre since, as I said, I was with him from about 17 to 18. I went when I was really young, actually. That was the first place I went. 13, we were at a different place. But he's upgraded the gym a couple of times, so we're in a really good spot now. So yeah, we're in Harrogate, obviously. Yeah, Pierre, if you don't know about him, we'll get to know. He's a couple of national champions, European champions, Chris Addis, Duncan. So yeah, very, very knowledgeable and a bit of a dark horse, I'd say.
I've had a couple of dealings with Pierre just as a coach, where he's put fighters on my show, one of them being Craig Skelton back in the days. And I've always had good engagement with Pierre, and he comes across as a very pleasant chap. Is that how he is as a coach, or is there a different side to him?
He's, I think when you get to know him a bit better and you see him in the gym, his mind is just like, it just works in crazy ways. He's so like technical, he's so skillful. He's absolutely in love with the sport. You know, every time I walk in the gym, he might be between sessions, he'd just be scranning a sandwich and watching some crazy Thai fights, just screaming in the office by himself. But yeah, he's just in love with the sport and, you know, constantly looking to learn, evolve, and as much skillful as make us all as skillful as possible. So I'm very grateful to him for that.
And when it comes to Alex Welby, my brother, what do you know about Alex?
I know a little bit. I mean, I don't really look into my opponents massively. I'll watch a couple of their fights when it first obviously comes up. So I remember watching, I think it was an MMA fight when the fight first got booked. Sort of had a little look at him. I think most of his fights were in MMA that were on YouTube. But I mean, it doesn't. I assume in my mind that everybody works the same as me. So I'm always looking to improve my skill set and I'm always looking to get better. So you can kind of get an idea about people from watching the fights, but I don't really look too much into it. I don't really look into it full stop. We're going to have a scrap. So it is what it is. I'm just going to rock up on the day, see what's what, and we go from there. It's fighting.
And you're right, brother. Some people can look too deep into their opponent. Other people just kind of rely on the coaches, look at it as like an extension of sparring, and they want to test themselves and then move on to the next one, right?
Absolutely. I think it's, you know, like people are deep in it, especially like now you can sort of look up everyone's social media and like all the fights and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, there's no need to deep it. We're just going to fight. It is what it is. You know, this is what I love to do. This is what I think I was born to do. So we're just going to get in and get it done. There's no need to really.
And the fight is at lightweight now. In MMA, lightweight is at 70 kilos. Is that similar with Muay Thai?
Correct. I think the weight divisions in Thai are slightly different. I thought it was every 2.5 kilos, and I think it is every 2.5 kilos, but I was looking at some Muay Thai rankings the other day, and the categories are different to what I thought they were. So it's like 79, 76, and then it goes so on and so forth. So the 70 kilo one is just slightly under. But I mean, the fight's at 70 kilo. That's all I'm bothered about. I fight at 70 kilo. So.
And weight-wise, brother, we're still a couple of weeks away. How are you feeling weight-wise?
I feel great, man. I mean, 70 kilo. I mean, I'm not a small guy, so 70 kilos. It's a graft, but it's not particularly hard. I've gotten pretty good at it now. My first few, I was a bit sort of rookie with it. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was doing a bit too much water and stuff. And now my diet's really good. I understand my body a little bit better. I understand sort of where I should be, how many weeks out, and I'm not having to starve myself like I was initially. Not taking out of taking energy out of the training session. So I've got it down to a T now. Really, it's pretty easy for me, 70 kilo. So.
And that comes from trial and error, brother, doesn't it? And more importantly, it comes from experience, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've done some horrendous ones. Like I've been like 83 kilo 4 weeks out and made 70 kilo in 4 weeks. So yeah, and I've done some bad ones, and I've had some. My last one was smooth as anything. So it's just repeat the process, isn't it? I mean, finish that last fight, straight back in the gym on Monday. Nothing changes for me. I just like my food, man. This is the hardest part for me is the diet. I'm a foodie. I've got an appetite. So
I think people like yourself who like the food, what they need is a target. So if you have a date in mind, that kind of stops everything, doesn't it? And you then methodically plan to that date, right?
that's it, mate. And it's a lot easier to do in here when you know a little bit out. You can sort of do it week by week. Whereas when you're trying to do drastic weight cuts, it makes it a lot more difficult. So I'll set like a limit on how much I let my weight get up to, and then I sort of linger around there and won't get too far above it, and makes life easy, doesn't it?
Now, I've met Alex before, brother, and that dude hasn't got a lot of fat on him. So it'll be interesting to see how much weight, if he's got a cut, and how he'll do that, because he looks shredded as that boy.
As am I, bro. I ain't got an inch of fat on me. You can look back at my pictures. Whenever it comes to fight time, I'm always in good shape. I'm fit, I'm active, I'm in love with this sport. I'm in love with staying fit and bettering myself. So that's always how it is to me. And don't scare me, really. Don't intimidate me. I'm not too worried. So,
well, that's a good mindset to have, brother, you know, because then you're focused on the fight rather than on the fighter itself, which is the best way, right?
absolutely. It's not a bodybuilding show, is it? It's a fight. So skills win fights, muscles don't mean a right lot. So
that's true, brother. It can either work for you, or it can be a hindrance with the amount of oxygen your body needs to kind of keep those muscles going, right?
Yeah, precisely. It can work both ways. I mean, yeah, as long as you. But I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. Body types are just body types. Like people look different ways. It's just interesting, isn't it? Like different people fight different ways. Obviously, muscular dudes, they'll be a bit more explosive. Taller dudes, longer dudes, just don't mean a right lot. This is what I mean. You can't deep these things too much. You're just gonna fight. It is what it is.
It just makes the sport more exciting, doesn't it, brother?
100%, and it looks good, doesn't it? Who doesn't like two in shape guys getting in and seeing what the crack is?
For sure, brother. Now, if it all went according to plan, brother, how would you like the fight to end?
I'm always looking to finish people. I'm always looking for the most violent ways of doing things. So just go in, look for the gaps, do what I know I'm good at, what works well for me, focus on, as I say, bettering myself and using my skills, not worry about too much about what the other person's doing. I do what works for me. I do what I know I'm good at, and I'm always looking to take people out. That's just how it is, isn't it?
For sure, brother. Now, regardless of the result, my friend, once the fight's over with, we're going to have another podcast and talk about the aftermath, if that's okay with you, brother.
Of course it is, absolutely. I'd love to, man.
Nathaniel, it's been emotional, my friend, and I'll catch up with you soon, brother. Okay, see you later, my friend.
Take care, buddy. All the best.